All right, hello. My name's Jason. I use he, him pronouns. We are here to play the game Cartel by Magpie Games by Mark Diaz Truman. This is a game of Mexican narco fiction taking place in Durango, Mexico in the year 2007, just as the Mexican drug war really went into another gear. Um, this is session 1 of 5, and uh, this game, the touchstones for this game, genre touchstones, I have as Breaking Bad, of course. It's probably the closest parallel. But also, I think Narcos Mexico, the original Narcos 2, The Wire, Sicario, Robert Rodriguez Mexican trilogy, and Jackie Brown are all things I have down here that I think one way or the other closely parallel some of the stuff in this game. We're playing this game as part of the Gauntlet online gaming community. We're a bunch of gamers that play online together, indie and small games, generally story games like this one. If you like what we're doing, come check us out, gauntlet-rpg.com. And we've got podcasts, and we publish some of our own games now, and we've got a good community. We've got a nice Slack that is real interesting. Everybody's engaged. But anyways, check us out if you want. Let's go around the table. Just introduce yourself with your name. Don't worry about your characters yet. I know some of you guys have been getting well into your characters, but let's hold off on that for now. Just introduce yourselves with your pronouns, and if you have anything to plug or talk about, feel free to go do so. Let's do what I did before. Let's go left to right in the character keeper, which I think, Daniel, you're up. Tell us about yourself.
Hello, my name is Daniel. I use pronouns he, him. I have been playing on the Gauntlet for a couple of years, and I am very excited to play this game.
All right, Pavel.
Hi, I'm Pavel. I use pronouns he, him. I played the game before. I've been a member of the Gauntlet Athlete for some time. Other than that, I keep my activities to my local country where I mostly play. I do not do anything important other than that.
Okay, and Matthew.
Hi, I'm Matthew. I use he, him pronouns. I have been with the Gauntlet for about a year, and today I'll be playing the Cusinero for Cartel.
Okay, and Sebastian.
Yeah, hi, Sebastian, he, him. This is in loads of ways my first time at the Gauntlet, first time of this game, first time of any Powered by the Apocalypse game, and therefore really looking forward to all of the above.
Okay, great. And Sebastian, like we said before, if you're getting lost or confused or whatever, just slow us down. Say, hey guys, can we explain this? That's perfectly fine. We're all here to help. Okay, let's move to talking about CATS. CATS is concept, aim, tone, and subject or safety. And we talked about most of this offline, but let me say a few things. Cartel is a game taking place in Durango, Mexico in 2007. You guys are characters caught up in the dangerous world of the drug trade. And as we said offline, there are no heroes. They're all anti-heroes at best. Safety-wise, we talked quite a bit offline, but let me briefly mention what we're using. We're using the Gauntlet Code of Conduct, which means be nice to each other, basically. We're using the open door. People can come and go as they please. We're using the X card. Throw the X on the screen if anything's too much for you or whatever reason you don't want it. We're using lines and veils, and let me see what we got at this point for lines and veils. So for lines, things we definitely don't want to see at all: homophobia, sexual assault, violence and coercion, transphobia, infertility, and earthquakes. And for veils, we have slavery and torture by PCs. And ask first is a column, which means if before you bring that into our narrative, ask the table if it's okay. And we have propaganda for that, which I don't know what it is either. I think somebody on the chat was saying the same, that they weren't sure what propaganda is, but.
So I was the one who introduced that into the safety tools. It is propaganda, and I think it sounds pretty self-descriptive, but if it doesn't, I'll just say it's any depictions of the police that are excessively flattering.
Okay.
Like this, yeah. I tried to. Pavel asked me about it in the chat, and I tried to clarify it so that there's a little bit more nuance. I think we can negotiate and discuss it when it does come up. But basically, like having cops in the story is fine. I mean, it's inevitable. But celebratory portrayals kind of uncomfortable. Now, I get that might happen. Let's say if the mayor decides to praise the cops for some great job that they've done, that's fine. But if we need to start saying that and the cops are good in a metatextual sense, and like, oh, they're the heroes, or that they're like, very like morally absolved, I'm not comfortable with that. Again, it's a very tricky line, and that's why I felt like it should be in the ask first domain rather than in the lines and veils, because then we can all like stop and say, hey, like, what do we think about this if it needs to be?
Okay.
Otherwise, that drug task force, I have no problem.
Yeah, I think the genre basically, and the real life of Mexico at this time, the cops, you're not going to see a lot of hero worshiping of cops. They're mostly corrupt. They're mostly just as dirty as the so-called criminals. So, yeah, but definitely if you see that going on, or someone's thinking about having a cop being a quote unquote good guy, or as we said before, just let us know if it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know, guys. I doubt we'll see it though, because
Yeah.
the way
Like-
the
like
game.
most-
Go ahead.
Sorry, I'm so sorry. Like most safety tools, you've told me before, Jason, it's not about whether or not you think they're going to come up. It's just like just in case. In all likelihood, they probably won't come up. But it's like,
Sure.
right, it's just there.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Great. So we talked a little bit too about like trying to be respectful of the setting. None of us are from Mexico. Mostly, most of us, in most ways, haven't been engaged in the drug war. So we're going to do our best. We're going to try to do our best to be respectful. We're not going to use accents. We're not going to use stereotypes as much as we possibly can. The game uses Spanish words and phrases in the playbooks, in the text and stuff. So I'm comfortable using those here and there. But we all understand that if we don't feel comfortable that the language is being used, let's talk about that too. But anyways, let's move on to the setting. So as I mentioned a couple times, we're in Durango, Mexico. Durango is a province, a state in Mexico. It's about the capital is called Durango, and it is about a 10-hour drive from the U.S. border. I'm going to our character keeper, the map. You'll see where Durango lies. It's one of the 3 provinces that make up what's unofficially called the Mexico's Golden Triangle. It's called that because in the mountains, which you find kind of in the middle of those 3 states, kind of like where they all touch each other, there's an area which is the Sierra Madres. It's a very mountainous area with pine forests, which for whatever reason is incredibly fertile when it comes to growing marijuana and poppies. And for decades and decades, it has been the source of illegal drug production in Mexico, which of course would be then processed and shipped across the border into the United States, where the money is. Of course, in recent decades, probably since the 80s, cocaine has entered the picture, and that's where the real big money comes for the cartels. And the cocaine doesn't grow in Mexico. It comes from Central and South American countries, primarily Colombia, Chile, and I think Peru, if I remember correctly. And it is then shipped up through Mexico up into the United States. So whether it's grown in Mexico or through it's trafficked through Mexico, all the big drugs make their way into the United States through Mexico. Mexico is the primary highway for drug trafficking into the United States. If you guys are old enough to remember watching Miami Vice, back in whatever years that was coming out of the prior years, where it used to be that most of the drug trafficking at least for the Colombian cartels, the cocaine trafficking went through the Caribbean, but the DEA and the federal government has mostly shut that down. So unfortunately, though, the drugs always find a way, and now they go through Mexico instead. Durango is a city of about 500,000 people. It is part of what's called the Sinaloa cartel. The Sinaloa cartel is one of the 7 major cartels at this time. It is a organization that has a long roots way back, decades in the past, but it basically comes out of these farmers up in the mountains and kind of the wilderness areas, realizing that they can make a lot more money growing poppies and marijuana rather than growing corn or whatever they might have been growing prior. And over time, these agrarian farmers grouped together into criminal organizations for smuggling and processing and growing illegal drugs, and over time they've gotten stronger and stronger and stronger to the point now that they're a sophisticated cartel, one of the 7. We're in the year 2007. I won't go into a lot of depth about kind of history that's led to where we're at right now, but the main event in recent time for you guys is the election of Felipe Calderon in 2006. Calderon came to power with a lot of controversy, a lot of whispering, and evidence that there had been he had stolen the election. And in an attempt to gain to kind of change the story away from the thought that he had stolen the election, he initiated a drug war. And of course, there's been law enforcement pushing against the cartels forever. But what he did, which was kind of new, is he started using the army to go into these areas in high concentrations to try to flood the areas with troops to try to smash the cartels. And instead of bowing down and paying a tax or corrupting the officials, the cartels have said, fuck you, we're going to fight back. We're not going to play it your way anymore, Mexican government. And it's led to open conflict between the cartels and the government. And the soldiers go in and they have these complicated operations, usually in allegiance with the gringos, to try to capture the heads of these different cartels. And what happens is they might be successful and they might grab one of the top people in one of these cartels, and that weakens that cartel. But then the problem is that all the other cartels just jump in and try to grab their territory, which just leads to more violence. So there's, for many reasons, the violence has been escalating and getting worse and worse. A lot of times, when you read about, the drug war, the journalists constantly talk about how amazing it is, how regular life returns to normal so quickly in these areas in Mexico. There might be a bomb, there might be a shootout, there might be, bodies dumped on the street, and within an hour or two, it's cleaned up and everybody's back to normal. At least, it's one of these things where normal life continues to go on, even though there's this pressure cooker of violence building and building throughout the society. The players, so the people that are involved in the drug war. So first of all, there's the cartels themselves, the criminals themselves. So as I mentioned, there's 7 major cartels. They each have their own regional power base, but like I was saying, it's gotten incredibly messy. They're all pushing against each other, trying to grab pieces of each other's territory, grab key routes, key trafficking routes. There's this war going on all the time with all the different cartels intriguing and trying to take over each other's territory. I was watching the show Narcos not Narcos, Cartel, or no, it is Narcos Mexico, and it's at a higher level than you guys are going to be playing at. It's more at the boss level, but it reminded me a lot of Game of Thrones. In Game of Thrones, it's all in the medieval, this fantasy medieval world, but it's the same thing. There's all these powerful families all vying for control and power. Same kind of things going on here. A cartel is divided up into a territory that is called a plaza. A plaza is an area controlled by a jefe, a boss. And we talk about it in a lot of the stuff I've read, and I think even in the manual, they talk about it. Best way to think about it is in terms of like a fast food franchise. So, like your local McDonald's, I don't know where you live, whether you have them, but I imagine, I think it's pretty much everywhere in the world at this point, isn't it? So anyways, if there's a local McDonald's, yes, it's part of the McDonald's corporation, but day to day, it's just its own little company. It doesn't really know much about what's going on in the corporate level, right? It's just trying to make money selling burgers and fries at that local level. And any money it gets goes up the chain to the corporation, a percentage. I'm not sure exactly how they do it economically, but the same idea with these plazas. The boss of a plaza is his own boss. He's got to send money up the line and he's got to take orders, but day to day they're mostly on their own, which makes them hard to destroy a cartel because you can break a plaza, but it's only one piece of an octopus. It's one of the legs of an octopus, right? Each one's controlled by a jefe or a boss, and the jefe has under him there's a triangular sort of separate, or a pyramid organization. There's lieutenants and sicarios, which are killers, and soldiers and cooks, and the halcón. Who's playing the halcón? I forget. Was that you, Pavel?
Yes,
the
I'm playing the halcón.
Yeah, the halcón is sort of a low-level operator, a street-level operator. They're in the gang, they're in the actual official cartel, but they're on that lowest rung of the pyramid. And then there's all kinds of guys under that even. There's corrupt cops, there's people, there's mules, there's coyotes, which are smugglers. There are corrupt officials, politicians. There's a whole host of other people that are tied into the cartel, but not officially in it, including Pavel starts with a pandilla, a small gang, and those guys are not in the cartel. So to them, you're like a big shit because you're actually in the cartel. They're just thugs or your buddies, what have you, that hang out with you, but they're not officially in the cartel. So even though you're like the lowest guy in the cartel, to them you're a big deal. Then there's this group called Los Zetas. We might see the Los Zetas in our game. I don't know. We'll find out. Los Zetas are a new development, actually, from the late 90s. They kind of appeared on the scene. And Los Zetas, they're just another cartel, basically. They're another group, but they're ultra violent. They have taken the violence to levels that would have been seen blasphemous by cartels not just a few years ago. And as they have increased the levels of violence and can't think of the word I want. But anyways, as they've increased the levels of violence, the other cartels have started to follow along just to keep pace. What the Los Zetas are, they are the boogeymen that the other cartel members are afraid of. They, if you hear this, the Zetas are around, everybody gets spooked and on edge. They won't go into too much depth, but they originated as special forces soldiers in the Mexican military. And they realized they could make a hell of a lot more money, trafficking drugs and running protection rackets and whatnot than making money or than being in the military. So the original members of Los Zetas were all these special forces guys that said, fuck this, I'm going to, become part of this cartel over here. It was the Gulf Cartel. And over time, though, they realized, you know what, we're sick working for the Gulf Cartel. We're going to start up our own operation. And they're this hyper-aggressive, hyper-violent group that we may or may not run into. They're very kind of paramilitary in their organization. Then there are the cops, the police. And, like we talked about, Matthew being concerned about, propaganda, probably not going to get much of that because the cops in Mexico are almost always completely corrupt. They're usually, most of the local and state level cops are corrupted, being paid by one or more cartels. A single police station might have groups within that police station of different cartels that control, cells within the same police stations. It's not uncommon for cops in the very same area to have shootouts with each other. And the cartels, in the old days, they would just pay the cops to look the other way. But now the cartels pay the cops to actively get engaged in day-to-day business of the cartels. The cops will carry out hits, they'll transport drugs, they'll escort the jefe around town, they'll take his kids to school. They're in uniform, but they're basically cartel members, completely. Then there's Los Federales, which are, in America, the closest parallel would probably be the FBI. They're the federal cops, and they have a long history of being corrupt and not only being corrupt, but being sort of their own organization where the cartels would have to pay them for protection, because if they didn't, the federales would come in and shut down a plaza, shut down a boss, what have you. So in years past, always the cartels would have to pay a tax to the Los Federales usually. But now, because of Calderon and because of the cartels, openly fighting with the government, not so much that anymore, but lots of them are still corrupt. I think it was in the 1990s, the under pressure from the Americans, the Mexican government completely dispersed the entire federal government, the entire federal police force. They just said, this doesn't exist anymore, and they just started over. And very quickly, of course, the new organization got corrupted also. But then there's the gringos, the DEA, the CIA, the FBI, Homeland Security, the U.S. Marshals, ATF. There's a whole host of complicated mess of American organizations that are they try to push the Mexicans into doing something. Do something to reduce the flood of drugs coming into our country, keep the violence out of the U.S., and as you would probably, if you see any of the genre touchstones, they usually get pretty dirty and pretty messed up too, as they try to engage with this whole messy situation in Mexico. I think that's it for setting and everything. Any questions or thoughts? Otherwise, let's just get into character creation and get that finished.
The only comment I really have is that the entire setting is at points substantially less or more depressing than the Philippines.
Well, all right. Good, bad. Yeah, it's all bad.
I have one question, because my crew is well connected in other cartels, and I'm thinking, so if our plaza is run by one El Narco, which is probably from the Sinaloa cartel, I'm trying to picture, would we have another cartel except for Los Zetas in our city, or do we have contacts in a manner that, I'm trying to just frame it, how do we have contacts in other cartels? Because yeah, I'm not really sure how it works. I imagine this, maybe we can call them and they will drop us, I don't know, 1 kilo, 2 kilos package, so that then we can distribute it in the city. But I'm not really sure how else to picture it. Do we have a Gulf cartel representative in Durango? What's your, I don't know, point of view on this?
Sure. So there's a lot of ways you can go with that. I was thinking about that too, and I think we will see how you want to go with it and what comes out of play. But some of the options you have, it can be above board. There's sort of an understanding, as long as a cartel is not at war with another cartel, there's an understanding that you can move your product through my plaza, even if we're not in the same cartel, as long as you pay a tax. You know, maybe it's 10%, maybe it's 20%, maybe you have to give me 20% of your product. I mean, it's kind of between the two cartels to organize how they want to do that. So it can be above the board like that, or it could be somebody trying to wildcat, somebody trying to freelance. You know, you make a lot more money if you don't have to give the money to, if you don't have to kick any money upstairs. So it's not uncommon for lower level guys to set up local deals, you know, whether to distribute in their own area or to set up a trafficking network up into the United States where the real money is. There's a lot of ways you can go with that.
Cool. It gives me some ideas, especially that Ignacio can cook something. So we will have some fun.
Right. Yeah, and I think, again, you know, certainly we can go either way, but if you want to create more tension, you want to have it like probably more in that under the boards kind of way, where maybe your jefe doesn't know what's going on, your narco doesn't know what's going on, and might get you in trouble. Okay, so let's take a break. Let's take a break for 5. You know, do what you got to do. Keep working on characters if you want to. I'll be here in 5 minutes to answer questions, and as we kind of finish character creation. But anyways, to take a break, I'll see you guys in 5. Hey, Daniel, do you know where your picture is from? It's a nice moody picture.
It was from a TV show that I find. It's called the Mayans MC. It's about a motor gang bike, but I found it on Pinterest, and the web page that the picture is from it was broken. I couldn't access it, so I just took the photo from Pinterest.
Right. It's a good one.
I
haven't
don't
seen
know.
that.
I don't know the name of the actor. Yeah,
No.
I haven't seen it either. No, I don't know, but it looked kind of cool.
Pavel, I recognize that's Tuco, right, from Breaking Bad.
Yes, that's Tuco.
Yeah, and Luis Guzman for Matthew, and Sonia Braga for Sebastian. Luis Guzman is in Narcos, the original one in Colombia.
Oh, really? I just liked him in Punch Drunk Love and like 1,000 movies.
Yeah,
he's great in everything.
right. Yeah.
You know, he's gonna play Gomez in the next Addams Family.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, very cool, very cool. I'm happy for him.
Yeah. Matthew, you said you haven't seen Breaking Bad?
I have not. I saw the first episode. I know of its legacy. I know TV discourse.
Sure. You might not even need to see it at this point. You just know, you
Yeah.
know the tropes.
I tell people I have consumed the entirety of a Game of Thrones entirely through memes.
Right.
like it just like it passes through me,
Mm-hmm.
and I float in a sea of memes. I know there's a certain man who doesn't know anything. Yeah.
All right, so let me just go through. Does anyone feel like they're done with their characters? Does everybody feel that they're done? Is anybody not? Who's not done? Who's still working?
I always say, I think I'm done.
Okay. So Sebastian maybe isn't here yet, but we'll ask him when he gets here. Let me just take a quick look, make sure it all looks good. Everybody's got their heat in from their character. The character sheet doesn't automatically put your heat and lifestyle. You have to do it manually, but they look about right. Heat is actually better to be low, so the Sicario is kind of has sort of an inherent amount of heat, +1. And the Polyzetta, because they're secretly, working both sides, they actually have a lower heat to start with. Lifestyle, those look about right.
Oh, I should improve my lifestyle.
Yeah, I think your lifestyle might be a little higher than the Coconero. It might be stable to start with.
Yeah.
Those you guys might have already put them in. Yeah, it looks like you've already done your laboratory for you, and Sebastian's got to sort out his anti-cartel task force, and Pavel, looks like you've got your Pandia sorted out. The Sicario, all they need to do is just pick all their fancy gear. So Daniel, looks like you're all set with that. Matthew, when you get a chance, if you could select 2 of your lave and just highlight them, just change the color like Pavel and Daniel have done. Just change the color of the 2 that you want to work with. These are the laves are the way you make. They're the main way that you're going to make experience in this game. You don't get experience on a miss. There are a few other little ways, but this is the main one. So each of these laves tells you. It spells it out pretty clearly how you make experience. And you get 2 of these to start with. It really gives your character their main flavor. Then also laves, you make experience, but also they tell you how you clear a key. When you clear a key, what that means is that you decide that this is no longer what you're about, and you get rid of that lave and replace it with a new one. And it tells you what you have to do this. The advantage of clearing a key is you immediately get an advance. It's like you immediately get 3 experience and you can buy a new advance. The advances are all listed on your play sheets, your playbooks, and when you get them, it looks like they fill in automatically too when you selected your playbook on here on our character keeper. So that's good. So yeah, just pick 2 of those that you want to play with. And everybody's got their enlaces ready to go, more or less. Yep, looks everybody's got those good to go too. Let me just make sure everybody's got the moves. So let's see. La Palizetta starts with Infilatrato and 2 more. So it looks like you're all set, Sebastian.
Mhm.
Sicaria starts with 3 moves. Is that right? Yep, 3 moves. So you're good. Halcón starts with 1. Hermano, is it Hermanos you start with? Yeah. And then two others. So it looks like you're good. And the Cocanar starts with Cocanar, or Cocanero starts with Cocanar, and also 2 others. So you're good there too. Science, motherfucker, is what Ciencia Cabron means. And Chilon, okay, that's a fun one. Yep. Sebastian, do you feel like you're ready to go with your character? Do you have any questions or anything else to sort out?
No, I feel I'm pretty much I'm pretty much good to go.
Okay. And kind of fill things in if you're still struggling.
Yeah.
I think it's a good policy. I've heard other game masters on the Gauntlet do this. If we start playing the game and you're like, this move doesn't really fit, doesn't really work for me, I think for the first session or so, if you change your mind, as long as you haven't rolled the move yet,
Yeah.
I'm comfortable with you changing up a move. So
Cool.
if you get into play and you're like, you know what, this isn't working, I want to do something different, so feel free to change it up. But for now, we got what we're starting with. Let's go around the table. Let's just introduce. Well, let me introduce a couple game mechanics first, just so we have that in our brain. The first thing is stress. So in this game, you don't have any hit points. We don't track conditions and stuff like that. Almost everything that happens to you, whether it's psychological or physical, is going to hit you in terms of stress. And your stress track goes from 0 to 5. It's on your character sheet below your stats, below lifestyle. It says stress, and there's a little arrow where you can track from 0 to 5. Every session will start with at least 2 stress. Just living this life is stressful, so you start with 2. If at the end of tonight's session you go to 0, next time you'll go right back to 2 when we start next session. If you end up with 4, you'll start next session with 4. You don't set it back to 2, but you set it to at least 2. Your stress goes from 0 to 5. If your stress gets to 5, you're what's called overwhelmed. When you're overwhelmed, you can't do any moves that require you to take a stress. You can't choose any options off of a move that require you to take stress. So it really limits a lot of the things you can do when you're overwhelmed. It also pushes you to do what's called stress moves. If you look at the moves, whether on a sheet you printed out or on your character keeper or on the play materials, there's a bunch of stress moves. These are things you can do to reduce your stress. None of them are pleasant. They're all taking drugs, beating people up, stress shaming others. What am I forgetting? I think you can go to a priest. That's not so bad, right? I forget if there's others, but I think that's pretty much the biggies. So they're all things that are going to have complications also, and it's intended to be that way. This game intends you to get stressed out. It intends you to get overwhelmed and to try to get rid of that stress in any way you can. That's part of what it's trying to do. So don't be afraid or worried if you're taking on a lot of stress. That's just a wonderful part of this game. What else? I think we talked about experience, and if you get to 3 experience, just take your new advancement. You don't have to ask me about it. You don't have to, and if you got a lave and you're like, I think I hit this, take your experience. That's cool. Honor system. Don't worry about it. If you're not sure whether you hit a lave, go ahead and bring it up and we'll discuss it and we'll see whether we think you hit that or whether you got to lean into it anymore. Like I said, when you take advances, just take them on the fly. You don't need to wait to end a session or anything. I think that's it for stress. Stats, I think I can describe them better if you need to, but I'll skip that for now. Laves, I talked about. Okay, so I think we're ready. Let's go around and let's introduce our PCs. So tell me about, your character and their pronouns. Give me, in a good paragraph, not a, I don't want their life story, but just give me a short couple sentences that capture what your guy is. We've got nice pictures for each of them, so we know their look, but just tell me a little bit what they're like. And then go through and I think it's good to read out your moves so we all understand, because what we want to do is we want to hit each other's moves. You want to set each other up to hit, their moves, so it's important, I think, that we understand what each of the characters is coming to the table with. So introduce your character with a couple sentences of who they are and what they're about. Let us know their moves, and then let us know what laves you're working with. Same deal. We want to hit each other's laves. We want to set each other up to get those laves hit to develop these characters. So Daniel, we'll pick on you again. Get us started. Tell us about Angel Machado.
Okay, so Angel Machado is he's a killer. He's a sicario. He was used to work for the cartel for some time, but he hasn't been in Durango for quite a few years. Now he's coming back. I think he's a sort of a tired of killing kind of guy, but he wanted out, but he kind of got back because I think that he found out that this is the only way he could, the better way to protect himself. So he's kind of a late 40s, tired-looking kind of guy with some kind of leather jacket and jeans, and not inconspicuous. Tries to look inconspicuous, and that's it.
Okay. And lay us out your moves and your laves.
So should I read the whole moves or just explain?
I would say, read at least the first bit. It's like for Mirar, I would say, when you read a charge situation, roll with savagery.
Okay.
You don't have to get into the details of like the 10 plus and all that, but at least, give us that introduction to each of the moves.
Okay, so Mirar is the move where when you read a charge situation, roll with savagery. It's a sort of a move that makes me, I can more easily read a situation and find some points where I can use. And then I have Encombijado. When you ditch a body somewhere, roll with savagery. It's about getting rid of a corpse without leaving traces. And the third move is Levanton. When you track down an NPC, roll with savagery. So just trying to tracking someone down and catching them.
Okay. So that tells us we want to set you up in situations where you need to find somebody.
Yeah.
And we want to set you up in situations where you got to get rid of a body, right? Okay, great. And then tell us about the laves you've selected.
Okay, and my Yahweh's Mercy is one of them, which means that I mark XP when I try to head off a violent encounter with negotiation or persuasion. So trying not to be violent, which probably would be not so easy or without consequences. And I have also Duty, which means mark XP when you complete a task or assignment for your superiors. And that's it.
Okay. So you started out as a sicario, and did you work for in this plaza in Durango?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Okay.
I worked here, and I think everyone knows me here.
And you left at some point for a while. Is it you left because you were just tired of it? If you're tired of the life, or is there a specific thing that drove you away?
I think there was a trigger. I'm not sure what it was yet, but generally, yes, I was tired, and I wanted to way out. And basically, I went into hiding, trying to get away. But I think when there is a kind of a vendetta situations between cartels or plazas or whatever, it's the sicarios that get the end of it. So I probably have been people tried to find me and kill me. So I came back just because it's easier to be here in a way. Not easy, but less hard. Maybe it's a better word.
Yeah, definitely one of the tropes in these kind of stories is that you can't leave. There's no out, there's no retirement plan when you're in the cartel. You develop too many enemies. So if you try to leave the cartel, you're just exposed and you got no protection anymore. Also, you know too much. You know where the bodies are, you know where the drugs are going, nobody wants you going out in the world blabbing your head to the cops, to the DEA or whatever. So yeah, it's very hard. It's all but impossible to get out of here alive. All right, great. Let's move to Saul. Tell us about Saul, Pavel.
Yeah, I'm still thinking which lava to take. But Saul is a kind of older fella especially for a Hakon. Hakons are usually this 19, 20 years old guys who sell drugs on the streets. Saul is like in his 30s, approaching his 40s, and I'm going for the situation here where people are forced into this business because they have no other way to earn a living. So I think that Saul was and his buddies mostly were like taxi drivers, and then the narco decided to make the taxi company his money laundering. So he bought all of the taxis and kicked out everyone who didn't wanted to partake. And being a taxi driver, you cannot find a job anywhere because you have no other trade in your hands. So he decided, well, if that's the stuff, then I will do the work, but for at least for some better money than being a taxi driver. So he's very ambitious. He doesn't have a choice. He has to get his hands dirty to earn anything because he's destitute. He doesn't have almost any money. I think he's like 3 months to half a year behind his rent. So his landowner is looking for a way to evict him. And then his only option will be to move in with his mom, and then you cannot not even invite a girlfriend when you live with your mom. So Saul has a lot of motivation to earn something and a lot of troubles because of this.
Okay. Yeah, tell us about your moves.
So Saul has 3 people. They're not a gang yet. They are like 3 people crew. There is Paco, who is a real pendejo, but I cannot let him go because Paco is actually the one who was taking drugs and who is often taking drugs, and he's well connected to everyone in the city. He knows every dealer and the guys from the Gulf cartel, from Sinaloa cartel, even if he isn't part of the cartels, he knows people. So I just cannot kick Paco out. There's Azul, my true buddy, with whom I can go and do all of the things. And then there is Sophia, who is sort of my friend with benefits, kind of pack member, but she was also a taxi driver, and she cheers me up when life good stuff.
And your Pandia, they're all a little older too. They're all in their 30s or 20s or some.
Yeah, I think Sophia is maybe like approaching 30s or at her 30s, and the other guys from the picture, they are also like in the middle of their 30s or 40s something. So, something. I envision all of us were the taxi drivers. All of us are not taxi drivers for similar reasons, but each has their own. So that's why we are doing this business.
Okay.
So my moves are to get them to do stuff when it's like dangerous or costly or out of ordinary. So to get them to do stuff. My move is to sell product on the streets. And when the situation is tough and I turn to violence against an unsuspecting foe, I can get 10 plus. So it's a last resort kind of guy. When pushed against the wall, he will fight back, even though it will stress him out completely. So that's really crazy.
Okay. And your laves?
Yeah, one moment with that. One more word about my crew. So as I mentioned, my crew is connected. My crew we like to fiesta. We like to party. So when we get together and we and dodge a substance, I have slightly better results. However, then there are problems because we owe favors to someone. We have to like establish to whom, and our crew is known to police because since I'm the part of the cartel, they are not. We are, this the easy fish to catch and to show that hey, we catch some drug dealers. We caught some drug dealers.
As part of your work, do you also still do taxi work? Do you still like pick up and do fares, or is it all just a front at this point?
I think I don't do it officially. I suspect that when the cartel orders me, I know the taxi drivers, so I go to them. I convince them to lend me a taxi for a day or for 2 hours, and then I probably go and move the drugs in the trunk of a taxi. So
Right.
I don't own a taxi. I have my own old junk BMW, but I but I know guys, and I borrow their car to whenever there's some business I have to handle from the cartel, or maybe the cartel just gives me the taxi seat to drive, since I'm the part of it. So,
Sure.
but yeah, I don't do the regular first. And my
Okay.
lovers, yeah, I'm thinking not to double dip on them. Okay, so I will go with the bottom one. So my lovers, I'm ambitious, which means I get experience when I convince someone important to do business on their behalf. And I'm bold when I enter a situation without preparation or deception, which is already very stupid. Then I get experience as well.
Okay. All right. Let me see if I have any other questions. On a day-to-day basis, I'm getting this sense that your primary, I mean, you're a hawk, so that you basically just do what they tell you, right? But
Yes.
day-to-day, are you slinging drugs? What do you think your day-to-day hustle is?
That depends from to whom I give my lasses, because they define a lot of it.
Okay.
I have a plan for make some real money with someone, responsibility from the other part. At some point, I think I'm definitely spending time in the street selling drugs, because that's one of my specialties. The question is I'm probably working on how to get those drugs. I either try to lose a package that I'm transporting and have something to sell, or maybe or maybe I'm putting pressure on Ignacio to have some stuff on the side that we can then sell. It depends. I'm like totally doing the stuff for the cartel, and we will see from Enlaces what I'm actually doing every day, because it's
Sure.
it's hard to say.
Okay, great. Let's move on to Ignacio Ayala. Matthew, what do you got for him?
All right, so Ignacio Ayala is a cocinero. You compare eyes, professional clothes. My concept of the character is that he's in his early 40s. He is um, divorced or separated. I'm not sure. Separated from his family. So, um, he's really gotten into this to sort of like assuage his familial guilt by being able to earn money to support his family. Probably a greater capacity than he used to when he was doing odd jobs like used car sales or whatever. Um, yeah, so for the moves, unless there's something else you'd like to know about the character. All right, for the moves, I've got Cocinar, which seems to be more like a base move. It determines, I roll to determine how well the cooking has been going on at the start of a session, and the outcome of that result determines um, how much money or resources I have, or whether I'm able to make it through like a certain time period. Um, my other ability is or move is Ciencia Cabron, which is gives me the ability to jury rig something and create opportunities, buy time, and if I don't do well with the roll, well, I guess doesn't go great. Chilon is an interesting move. Allows Ignacio to get into an emotional outburst, like all of us do and all of us will in this game. But instead of rolling with face to to create an impact, he rolls with grit.
And that move, when they say emotional outburst, it needs to be kind of over the top, you know, like
Yeah,
falling down and like tears, pulling at people's legs, you know, to give you mercy, or screaming, or, you know, something real over the top and emotional is what you want
yeah,
to aim for to trigger that one. Okay.
yeah. Anger, tears, all of it. Yeah,
And Ciencia Cabron is the MacGyver move. It's just, you know, all you need is like a couple chemicals. You need a little bit of fictional, what's the word I want? Fictional situation, and you can just say, I want to try to trigger this. You don't need a whole lab. You don't need to, you know, do a lot of work to establish it. As long as you can make a halfway decent argument as to why you would have the things you need, you can make a bomb, you can make a smoke bomb, you can, you know, whatever.
yeah. The book specifically says something about how as long as like something approximating a janitor's closet is
Right,
available, like
exactly.
yeah.
Okay, and then tell us the laves that you've selected.
For the Yaves, I have chosen secrets, which encourages me to lie to people close to me about my illicit activities, and eventually might be resolved by coming clean to the family about such lies. The other Yave is debt. Mark XP, when I strained my finances to meet the needs of my family. And this key gets cleared and advanced when we get out from under the debtor's thumb. And in the body of the Cocinero book, it's sort of like implied that, or said that he already is in debt. So, I realize that not many of the other uh, mechanics that are in the character keeper reflect that, but that is in there.
Okay,
Yeah.
sounds good. And then you have your laboratory. What selections have you made?
For my laboratory, I have chosen it is a food truck or RV, something like that, maybe a van, basically, a larger than a sedan vehicle, and that it has equipment designed to dispose of dangerous chemicals. The result is that its perks are it is small, mobile, and the the negative perks or consequences, liabilities, are it has a byproduct or odor that makes it easy to uncover. So people can smell them cooking quite a ways away, and the it is also poorly secured or locked down against intruders and thieves, and so these two qualities give it the liability of being detectable and exposed.
Okay. And you don't need to answer now, but think about, when we introduce your truck, what it looks like. Narrow it down. It could be a food truck. It could be an RV. It could be anything else you can imagine. That could be small, mobile, and indebted. Let me make sure. Let's see. There's something else here. So you have it as a mobile. And then what was the second feature you selected?
I just sort of like strung them together so that it's easier to read, but
Sure.
it was actually already two of them, which is it's sort of like that.
Did you remove the unstable? You made it. Did you select? So if you look at the laboratorio, you select two features. You selected food truck or RV, and then the second one. Did the second one remove the unstable?
Yes, it did. I realized I
Okay.
should have marked that a little bit better.
That's
I
fine.
think.
So your lab has equipment designed to dispose of dangerous chemicals. Okay, good. And then your troubles, you have detectable. You've added detectable, so it gives off byproduct or odor. Good. And it's exposed. Your lab is poorly secured or locked down. Okay, great. So we'll lean into those as we play. And let's move to our final character, Isabel Mercedes Zagal. Tell us about them, Sebastian.
Isabel is a policeta, so she's a federal agent who is corrupt. She originally grew up in Durango and has recently returned here because basically the federal cops sent out a large-scale marching order to crack down noticeably with good positive headlines on the local cartels. So basically, we are literally expected to deliver names, faces, people in cuff, and stuff that we confiscate. And we literally have had bounties for that. She's corrupt because a couple of years ago, one of the cartels made an failed assassination attempt at her, and her husband basically got shot in the spine and is since then basically bound to a wheelchair. And with the special treatments that cost the household keeper for the kids and the painkillers for the husband, she's basically in constant debt in order to keep the family alive. And so she has to both make money through bounties from the police and make money from the cartels just in order to make ends meet. Yeah, on the one hand, she feels very kind of free and alive when she's doing police or cartel work because she's away from home, which is just stress and guilt. On the other hand, every time she's away, she feels guilty for leaving her husband and her kids behind, who got caught in the crossfire of basically the cartel wars. So her moves are infiltrado, which basically means at the start of the session, I roll with grit in order to get wind of an investigation for the cartel before it gets messy, and then I can use that information to inform the cartel. Then sort of the small scale part of that is siempre listo, which means I can use stress in order to show up with cops or federales or even before them for more stress in order to basically warn my cartel colleagues or clean up the situation. And then the other is entrenamiento, which basically means if I declare myself a federal agent and then turn to violence, I can use grit instead of savagery, and it's basically a bonus for me when I get shot in the course. My llaves, as I already mentioned, is debt on the one hand, right? I try to get out under the debt for just maintaining treatment for my husband and my family. And schemes, I'm constantly trying to play out both the police side and the cartel side against each other in order to basically finance myself. Important, my gear, apart from kind of standard government issue, working cell phone with 2 SIM cards. I have tracking devices or bugs and military-grade body armor. And I have both links to members in my unit, where some of them are not yet corrupt and even suspect me. Some of them are in on my spiel. And I'm familiar with some members in the cartel as well, some of which offered me to scam El Narco, and somebody else who almost gave me away.
Okay. Let me run through that, see if we got everything. So your anti-cartel task force, let's see, you work closely with 5 NPCs. Let's see, I see them here. Members of my unit. Okay, here we go. Delgado is a new partner, young, not yet corrupt. Okay. Who's suspicious of you? You've got Zamora, not corrupt, suspicious of me. Notice I am repeatedly on an empty crime scene early. Okay. So you seem to have another source of information. They suspect you are involved with something. And then with the cartel, you have who almost gave you away. Eliza offered to scam the El Narco. And oh no, Esteban almost gave you away, and Eliza, I'm not sure. Elisa, okay, offered to scam El Narco. All right. And then you have your husband, Javier, and you have 2 children and a housekeeper. Okay. When someone tried to assassinate you and your husband was paralyzed, was that here in Durango or was that somewhere else?
I think that was here in Durango, and then we moved away, and I'm now recently reassigned back. My husband is not here, so the family is somewhere else in a town nearby. But one result of the shootout was that we moved away. I think narratively it would be interesting if actually the cartel I'm now working for, that the player characters are part of, was actually part of that or involved in that assassination, and I just don't know that yet.
Okay.
So that might be revealed during game, that, I don't know, one of the PCs or the cartel actually put me into my current life spot.
Okay. I wonder what Sicario might have tried to kill you. Let's see. And you have a new partner. What happened to your last partner?
My last partner died about 3-4 months ago on my last gig in the city I worked in before I moved to Durango. And that was effectively, he was also getting suspicious of me and my crew. And so I just gave him out to the cartel. I didn't kill him myself, but I gave him out to cartel, and then he showed up dead.
Okay.
1 or 2 days later.
So they tried to kill you and you left. And maybe you've already made this clear, but maybe I missed it. But what's brought you back here to Durango?
Basically, I've been told from higher ups. I didn't necessarily want to come back here, but basically, given my stellar track record in the previous place, they said, no, we now have a major public initiative here in Durango to clear this out. You did such a beautiful job in the other place. Now go here and deliver numbers.
Okay. And do you think that was the federales saying that to you, or was that the cartel manipulating things to get you back here? Or do you not know, or a little bit of both, a little bit of A and B?
The way I know the system, probably a little bit of both.
Yeah.
And I'm just, I don't know. I'm cautious and hope I can find out more as to why that is the case. So
okay.
Nothing would surprise me at this point, I think.
And you said your family is somewhere else.
Yeah.
Do you, as a player, do you want them to be off limits to our game, or are they in play?
It's perfectly fine it's perfectly fine if they come into play.
Okay.
I think the way I see it, that probably right now I just enjoy being on a job in a different city, which means I'm actually away from home,
sure.
while at the same time feeling guilty about that.
Right. Okay, great. We can work with all that real well. Let me go back. I want to make sure one of you guys, there's something I wanted to check. Yeah, Matthew, for your Coconero, you also have your Mysterios. You choose 3 from a list of the people that you have to keep your secret from. Have you done that, or who do you think that might be?
I had not. I wasn't sure if that was an advancement or something like that.
Nope.
Yeah.
Go ahead and think about it. Don't you need to do it right now? Just kind of, mark those down, and we'll come back to that. But go ahead and make sure you get that out there too. I know already you said you're separated from your family, so you have a spouse, I presume. Do you have children?
Yeah, I think so. I'll get on it.
Okay. Well, just off the top of your head though, so we know you have a spouse, and you have, how many children do you think they have, and how old do you think they are?
Yeah, I think I guess a niño is like a son or a daughter, right? Something like
Yep.
Yeah, I think that we'll have one of those who is let's put them in the age of 11.
Okay. Is that a boy, girl, or other?
Let's go with a boy for now. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, and give them a name when you think of one. Do you keep your secret from your spouse too? Does your spouse know that you're cooking for the cartel?
No, doesn't know.
Okay, so there you got secret from your family. Okay, and why do you think? I mean, we certainly, if you don't have ideas yet, we can spell this out and play. But why do you think you've separated? Is it because of your work? Is it just because you're a jerk? I mean, what any ideas?
I think I sort of suggested this earlier, which is that he was kind of like, a financial deadbeat, for lack of a better term, before this. And so I think uh, the spouse just sort of like got fed up with him not really providing for the family. And I think it was only after they separated that he turned to this to this discipline, so to speak.
And how did you get involved cooking drugs with the cartel? How do you
Oh,
learn to do this? How did you get caught up with them?
um, I'm still trying to figure that out, but I think maybe what I want to do is I want to suggest that um, what's his name? That Saul got me into this business, and Ignacio already has maybe a lot of sort of like self-taught and chemistry and all of that stuff from doing cooking and doing an unfinished university thing.
Okay. So you've got a little bit of like formal education, but also just experience of like doing cooks, and have gotten to the point where you're at now through experience and a little bit of education. Um, which is your what drug do you think you cook? Are you cooking up meth, cocaine, heroin?
Cocaine is where I want to go with.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll say for whatever reason they're sending, I think it's a paste, this is this whole process they go through, but maybe they send you, maybe I guess the leaves, maybe for some reason they're shipping leaves into Durango, and then you do the whole process of turning that into cocaine. All right. Let's see, there might have been something else. I'll come back to it though. All right, so now let's spend some time. Last thing for characters, and really a way to kick up your connections to each other, are the enlaces. These are your bonds. So there are three. I think for today, what I'd like to do is just to do two. We'll do two for each character, because I want to save one, because I know coming next week, Brandon's going to be here for sessions 2 through 5. So we'll save some of those for him, or we'll do the third one way or the other next time. So we'll do two today. You can link yourself to other PCs or NPCs, whether someone we've created or someone you want to add to our story. It's fine. What I would ask is that your first enlace be with a PC. And if possible, make your second one to a PC also, unless it just doesn't fit well and you'd rather have it with an NPC, which will be fine. But for the first one, make sure it's with a PC, and the second one, lean towards PC, but NPC is okay. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go around the table, pick the one you want to do. Let us know if you have someone in mind for that, and we'll work together with that person to see if they're comfortable with that, and we'll try to flesh these guys out. So I'm not going to pick on Daniel this time. I'll move one to the right on the character keeper. We'll start with Pavel. Pavel, do you have an enlace you want to start us out with in a target?
So I want to start with the first one. Someone gave me a new responsibility lately at my request. They have doubts, but I will prove them wrong. And I was thinking of Angel, but I'm open to all kinds of suggestions.
Daniel, what do you think?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I'm open to that.
Okay.
But do you have idea what kind of responsibility? Do I ask to be your, like, I don't know, getaway driver, or I don't know, your scout for your,
Let's wait till we get into play, and we'll see. We might start there with you guys. We'll spell that out once we get going. But for now,
I don't have a big idea, but yeah, I think we can work something out.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's put Angel in there for now.
Okay.
And let's move on one to the right now to Ignacio. Tell us which your enlace you would like to get and who with.
All right. Wait. Oh, I was unmuted already. For the enlace, I would like to go with So I already mentioned Saul. So I think Saul got Ignacio into this business to help him with his financial troubles, but didn't tell you the whole story. Now we're both stuck.
Sounds about right. That sounds like what you were just saying.
Yeah.
Does that work
that's
for you,
perfect.
Pavel? Okay.
Yeah. So do you think we are some kind of neighbors or friends from school from 20 years ago?
I like the idea of neighbors. I think that's kind of like both like that's darkly hilarious to me. The idea that there's a mere fence that separates our acquaintance.
That's cool. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And you guys in the world of cartels, of narcos, you're old. Like, you're like ancient. Not many narcos get to their 40s, so you have a shared relationship or a shared characteristic there. All right,
That's
so
that's the pitch. That's the pitch for making it to Netflix or some other streaming service, right? The main characters are 40 years old.
right. In real life, like the Halcones are all like 12, 13, 14
Yeah.
years old, but
Yeah.
we're not doing that. All right, so that sounds great. Let's keep moving. Isabel, do you have someone in mind and an enlace?
So I think the most interesting and obvious one is the somebody is the target of an active investigation. I'm not the lead investigator, but I'm regularly briefed. Looking across everybody, I think Ignacio would make the most sense. That they're sort of they're onto the cook, and I know that the cookery is going to be taken out sooner or later.
I'm lying low. I'm lying low now.
Yeah, it is. It's detectable. It's detectable and exposed. So Matthew's choices for his truck. It looks like it's a converted Mitsubishi L300. If you find a picture of that too, throw that in our people, places, and things.
It's a very distinct, popular, and specific vehicle that if you type it, every picture you'll find is exactly that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll check it out. But anyways, it's exposed and detectable. So that sounds reasonable that the federales are on to him. So great. So if that's okay with you, Matthew, go ahead and put Ignacio in that blank.
Oh,
great.
It's done.
Yep,
Done.
good. And then we'll move to Angel. Angel, do you have an enlace in mind?
Yeah, I have this one that says you owe someone for getting you out of a tight spot. You won't die for them, but you both know you need to settle up soon. I think the best for me idea for this to be Isabel.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I don't know if that's okay with you, Sebastian.
I'm
yeah.
very happy with that. Yeah, sure.
Because we were talking about if Angel was involved with shooting her husband, but maybe that was before, and then I was thinking maybe this Isabel helping me after without knowing. I mean, we can leave this open if that's true or not that I shot her husband, but this is I think good. This would be a good trigger for me to having been trying to get out because someone helped me, someone that didn't need to help me, maybe.
Right. Okay, great. So
Yeah.
go ahead and put Isabel there, and let's do our second one. So again, if there's a good one for match to a PC, go for that. But if it doesn't fit, go for an NPC is perfectly all right. So Pavel, which one do you want to do?
Me and Blanc have a plan to make some real money. They worry it's not going to work, but it's sure thing, cabron. So I think both Isabella and Ignacio are indebted. So so there can be a lot at work. So although I really like this one for Ignacio, maybe I got him into this business with the clear reason: if he cooks enough and I can sell it enough, we can make some good buck.
What do you think, Matthew? Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Your neighbors, you talk over the fence about making some real money. Let's see. Has anybody not gotten connected to someone else yet? Let's see. Isabel. I think everybody's got at least some connection, so I don't know if we need to look hard.
I don't have a connection to Saul yet. So that's
Okay.
the only.
Okay.
The only
Yeah,
one
we're not going to get everybody connected, but at least I want to make
Yeah.
sure at least somebody's got some drama going with somebody else. That's what we want to see.
If you want a very easy connection that we can write or not write, maybe you are actually an older sister of Sophia that is part of my group. Maybe you are an older sister or an aunt of Sophia. And so there is some connection that maybe you want to get her out from this business. That's a very easy one that is somehow related to Soul, but unless you want something else.
Well, Isabel has this one. Let's put those in our back pocket and let's keep moving and see what else we get out of this, and then see if we need more. But let's go to who's next. I'm sorry, I lost track. Ignacio, are you next? Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I want to live dangerously here, so let's make God, let's make Isabel family, close family.
Okay.
Okay.
They don't know what you do for the cartel. You're not sure you can keep your secret for long.
And given that I'm the target in an investigation in her precinct, that's gonna be a powder keg.
What kind of family connection do you think you have? What kind of family member are you?
The
How old
what do
is
you
Isabel? Do you think, Sebastian?
I'd say so. So given that she has given that she has 2 kids, 7 and 8, so it should be probably at least kind of early 30s.
Okay. Yeah.
Thereabouts. But given that she has gotten a track record, so very late 20s to early 30s at least.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so Matthew, what relationship do you think you have to Isabel then?
I'm gonna do the classic. I'll declare 2, and I'll let Sebastian pick. So I'm thinking either maybe the sister of Lupe, Guadalupe, who is my spouse, my separated partner, or actual sister to Ignacio. Like,
Okay.
yeah, maybe
So
like,
either sister or sister-in-law.
yeah. And I think to explain the surnames, because I don't want anyone to change their surnames, I'll just say like, one of them was had out of wedlock. We don't have to get into that.
All right, Sebastian, you want to be a sister-in-law or do you want to be a sister?
I think sister-in-law is more interesting because then we have your wife to contend with as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I like that. Okay.
Okay. All right, so you're Guadalupe's sister.
All right.
And let's see. You both have these kind of broken families right now, right? Or these you're both separated from your own families also. So that's whatever, you're both in the same situation where you're a lot of family problems in your immediate families. Okay, does everybody have 2 then? Did we cover, or do I have to go back around to Angel? Or no, Isabel's next, sorry.
Yeah. I still have, so I'm thinking about I don't know, is there any of you who would like to keep their involvement in the cartel a secret toward me? I don't think that really, sort of for Ignacio, it doesn't really work because kind of that's already a reveal. And then for Angel, given our history, that doesn't really work. So I think the sort of I grew up with something on the streets doesn't really work. So I think somebody is my main contact is probably the most obvious one. I just wonder whether Saul is high enough in the food chain for that.
We said that Saul is pretty low, but this can definitely work because maybe the great plan of Ignacio is to cook enough, and then I don't know, set up the El Narco to be captured by the police, and then run away with all this drug to sell it. So definitely working with you to already set up El Narco in some way is a perfect. But I'm pretty low in the food chain, so.
And 2 things come to mind that could be ways of explaining that. One is that Isabel might not be very high in the hierarchy of corrupt cops either.
Yep.
You might not warrant actually speaking to El Jefe yourself, or even a lieutenant. The other thing is that they might have you talk to Saul because it gives them insulation. You know, they don't want to be seen with the corrupt cops. They don't want anybody knowing about their, you know, their link to the police force. So they might send Saul because he's expendable.
That makes perfect sense, and it would then also make perfect sense that basically you're just my cab driver. So that's how we meet. Basically, it's perfectly innocuous. You basically, whenever I need a car, I take you as a cab somewhere, and then we're talking there de facto. So
Perfect.
yeah. Cool.
Amazing.
Great. Okay, so let's move around to Angel.
Okay, so I have the second one. Someone got you back in the business after you had retired. Tell them how you feel about your return to the game and don't be shy. And because I don't have a connection to Ignacio yet, I think that would be a really good link. So I do I need to tell Ignacio now how I feel about my return, or are we going to play this? Or
Let's let that develop in our play. Yeah.
Okay. And Matthew, you're okay with this?
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm just trying to understand what my primitive, simple mind is trying to understand. Like, so as a
Yeah.
as a cook, as a cook and a collaborator of Saul, I'm trying to figure out why would I get you back into business after you retired? Like, what are the mechanics of that?
I think it's probably, well, in my mind it's probably that I asked you to, because I wanted to come back and you were somehow, I don't know, the most reasonable choice for me, because you are not maybe too dangerous for me to talk to.
Yeah. I have an idea of how to RP. Sorry.
Maybe I owe you one for this, because I'm something that you can use if you need later. You know?
Yeah. I have an idea of how to RP this with you, and I'm very excited to do so. So I won't speak preemptively about it, but I think one of the things that's worth noting is that uh, Ignacio and Saul are relatively not just low rank, but sort of like new-ish to the cartel. And I think that makes us lower risk and an easier entry point for someone who has left the cartel and then decided to come back. So that
Yeah.
might be something that sort of defines your relationship.
And from my perspective, yeah, it's maybe because I retired, I ran away practically.
Yeah.
I pissed off the guys that are higher in the rank, in the hierarchy. Maybe, you two are the ones that, I can, at least for now, communicate with, even though we're maybe not, good friends from before.
Yeah. All right. I like it.
Okay, great. I would suggest if you have any sort of ideas like that may or may not get out on the table today, make yourself a little note, because within in a week will be passing before we'll get back to it, and you very likely might forget that awesome idea. If it's super awesome, it'll probably come back anyways, but I would suggest make yourself a couple of notes of where you want to go. I think everybody's got 2 enlaces, right? Make sure I didn't forget somebody. Everybody's got 2, and like I said, we'll save the 3rd one for next time. That gives us plenty of complications, plenty of ties, I think, to work with. Let's get our start of session moves on the table. Then we'll take a good 10-minute break. Let me think, let you guys think. We'll come back. We'll have just some introductory scenes, get you placed in the city, start to get some interaction, and then we'll, really pick it up next time. But at least we'll get you guys out in the city to start with. So start of session moves going left or right. I don't think the Sicario has one, right, Daniel? Do you have a start of session move? Anything you have to roll?
No, I think not. I think I don't have one.
I don't think the Halcone does either.
Nope.
But the Coconero does. So, Matthew,
Yeah.
go ahead and roll it when you're ready. It's the Coconero move, or what do they call it? Coconar.
It's my understanding is it's cocinero. I mean, I don't know how it's pronounced, but the word seems to come from cocina or kitchen.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you're fully stocked, we'll assume you're fully stocked and you're cooking at the start of our session. So roll with grit to see where you're at with your work.
Do we have a roller? I'm trying to find a
Yeah,
roller.
if you go to lines and veils, it's on the right side, dice roller. It's roll with
That's right.
20.
Clearly, I haven't played with you in a while because I know you always put it there.
I actually, those of you played with me before, I usually use roll 20. I don't actually use character keepers that much, but yeah, that's what we're using today.
All right. It's a 2d6 plus grit. Am I right?
That is right.
All right. And my grit is it is 2. It is 2. Yes, it's 2.
All right, you are gritty.
That is a 10.
Sweet. All right, so let's see, on a 10 plus, you also make a little surplus for yourself. All right.
Oh, nice.
So we know that Ignacio has an extra kilo of Coke.
All right. Is it exactly a kilo, or is it like nebulous? I have no idea what.
I mean, it's up to you. It's probably
Yeah.
a Coke is a pretty substantial amount. So you can make some real money off that. So yeah, okay. Let's leave that there, and let's move on then to I think Polizetta has one too, right?
Infiltrado. Yes.
Polizetta Infiltrato.
And that would
So,
be +1 because it's my grit. So that is a 11. Alrighty.
wow, nice. All right.
So
On a 10 plus, you go ahead.
on a 10 plus, you're positioned. So on a hit, you get wind of an investigation before things get messy. On a 10 plus, you're positioned to take advantage of the situation. You have access to vital evidence, witnesses, or police personnel, your choice.
Okay. Do you feel, I'm going to be thinking about this in the next few minutes. Do you want to have access to vital evidence or witness?
Let's start with witness. Yeah,
Okay.
witness would be nice. Yeah.
All right. So Isabel has access to a witness. All right, I think that will give us our starting points. Let's take a 10-minute break. So I'll see you guys. It's 11:08 on my clock. I'll see you in 10.
Try that again. Hello. I keep thinking I've forgotten something in the sheet, but that might just be me worrying I left the stove on.
Okay. Both in game and out.
Oh, snap. I didn't even think of that was relevant,
Right.
but you're right.
I'm thinking if your truck is exposed, are you just cooking up drugs just in the city somewhere?
Hmm.
And it's detectable, or do you think you drive somewhere and do it?
I think I drive somewhere to like, an empty lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Conspicuously leaving the city back and forth,
Right.
pretending I have deliveries to make.
Right.
I don't know.
All right, so we're all here. We're ready to rock and roll. So in this game, we do it in terms of scenes. So we will try to move around the table, give everybody some spotlight, get them started on a story. Sebastian, I know is kind of new to PBTA, but to keep it simple, all you need to do is just be natural. Just do what your character would do. As you start to get more comfortable and everybody starts to know their moves, I would say when you're in a scene, have in mind what move you're trying to trigger or what laves or whatnot you're trying to engage with. And that gives you something to aim at, and that'll enrich our story. So, as you move on and you get more and more aware of your character, I would say have targets in mind for where you're trying to get to in a scene. And when you set up a scene, as much as you can, try to engage other PCs. As much PC interaction we get, the better this game will be. This is a very talky game. You'll see about half of the basic moves are talky moves. So we're aiming for a lot of dialogue and interaction. That's a lot of the way this is going to work. Any questions? Okay, let's get started. So I think we'll start. Let me start with you, Matthew. I should use your character name, Ignacio. Ignacio, what time of year is it, you think, here in Durango?
What kind of year did you?
Or what time of year? What time of year? What season?
I'd say it's summer, and if I'm not mistaken, summer in South America should be around the same as in North America, around like
Yep.
July,
Mexico,
August.
Yep, Mexico's north of the equator, so yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So it's very, very hot. Yep. Okay. And Pavel, what time of day do you think we're starting our story at?
I think afternoon is good timing.
Okay. Let's zoom in then on Ignacio. Ignacio, describing, I was just asking you about this, but to kind of set the scene for us, tell us, you're in your truck, you're cooking. What's your truck look like? What's your lab look like? What's the area around? What do you picture as the camera picks up what you're doing?
Yeah, so the truck is sort of like a converted Mitsubishi L300. So it's like got the front of a van and the back of a truck, sort of medium sized. But generally those backs are about only enough space in there to sort of like crouch in, and that's where Ignacio does his work. He's pretty meticulous. The truck is very clean despite all of the work and all the chemicals he has to work in. I think while the odor is something that he can't prevent due to his methods, he tries to at least keep the place spick and span so that no one can just mark it by eye.
Okay. And you're just finishing up your cook. You've bundled up. Let's say, what's a reasonable amount? probably about 5 kilos of cocaine. So it's all bundled up in a shrink wrap. I don't know if you've seen it in these genre TV shows and stuff. It's always wrapped up in these bundles and blocks. And then you've got this extra one that you've set aside. And you hear the sound of several vehicles pulling up outside. You peek out the window, and you see that a couple large SUVs, black SUVs, have spotless, pulled up, and they are sort of one before and one after a Cadillac, a black Cadillac. And they pull up, and the guys in the truck step out. There's a couple burly guys step out, and sort of you recognize them. There's some soldiers of the cartel, the local plaza, and out of the Cadillac steps this woman that we have on our people, places, and things, Anna Dina. Anna Dina is a lieutenant. She's not the boss, but she's one of the reports to, and she's regularly the one that comes and picks up your cooks. And they come and they knock on your door.
Ignacio, cleans up. I guess since he can see them from the windows, first he thinks about it a little bit and opens and tries to size them up. Like, yeah, I was thinking maybe
Take a look at them. Sure.
Yeah, take a look at them. Sort of like,
Okay.
Ignacio's a little paranoid.
Trigger that move. Size someone up. So you look out your window and through their mirrors or whatever, get a view of them, see what they're up to. Go ahead and roll with savagery, which I'm sure you're very good at.
Is it? Am I? No, it's a 0. Let's see. Oh, did I? There we go. One 2d6. That is a 6.
Okay. She one of the big burly guys, he's like bang 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 on the door, into your truck, and the woman says, Ignacio, get the hell out here.
Ignacio gets out, looks at everyone and says, "It'd probably be more useful if you yelled my name first before banging on the door." Sort of indicating that like doing that while he's in the middle of cooking probably wasn't the wisest thing to do.
I don't think you have any place to tell me my business. Look, she gestures to the biggest guy. His name's they call him Tiny, and he bundles into your truck, and she says, "God, this smells horrible. Look, the boss isn't happy. Your envelope last week was a little light."
Maybe if the boss wants more, get me a better place to make this stuff.
Okay, I think you might be triggering. Let's see, what would that be? Pressuring someone or justify your behavior?
I think justify my behavior.
Yeah, that might be right. So let's go ahead and see what that does.
Yeah, that is to roll with face but I believe. Wait, no, that's just in face, right?
Yes.
So, that is a -1. Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, that's not too bad.
Yeah, not terrible.
She says, "You haven't been siphoning anything off the top, have you?"
Listen, we would when you give me the leaves, this is the amount that's expected of me. Have I ever been short? You get the product as delivered, as promised. I don't really appreciate that kind of accusation.
So everything you cook comes to us, right?
Absolutely.
I think that's a lie, right? You have the
Yeah.
camera sees that kilo sitting in your hidden, you probably jammed it in the glove compartment or something, right?
Absolutely.
So I think you have to mark a stress because you're not telling the whole truth.
Ah, nice. All right.
Mark a stress. She gives you you're not sure what it is. Is she angry? Is she disappointed? Is she frustrated? You're not sure, but she gives you a look. It gives you a little bit of a chill, and she says, "Fine, keep working. We've got cash flow problems. We need to keep the product coming out." And they bundle up and they get into the truck. Let's switch from there. Let's go to Los Federali. Sebastian, you're at the headquarters, the police station, and you're sitting. Let's see, we're in the afternoon. You've been called in. You and your comrades have been called in by your lieutenant. Let's see. Do we define who the leader is of your cartel task force? Who's your new partner? Who's suspicious of you? Which one of these guys do you think is the lieutenant, the head of your anti-cartel task force?
I would go with Reyes because it's unclear what his allegiance is.
Okay. So Reyes is up front. He's let's say he's kind of a shorter, real skinny guy. He's got a mustache. He's wearing a suit. He always is wearing a suit, where the rest of you probably are more less formal clothing. And he says he's got like a screen, pulled down, and a camera or whatever is projecting some images. And he says, as you know, this morning. Hold on, let me read your infiltrado, see what you got. You take advantage of the situation, you have access to vital evidence or witnesses, your choice. Okay. He says, this morning there was a killing in the near the cathedral downtown, and this individual, and they show a picture of some guy that's been killed. I'm not defining it too much because we're going to go to Daniel for more of those details, but this individual was killed. We believe it is gang cartel related. We have some grainy photographs or grainy camera video that we've been able to obtain, and he plays a short video, and it's, like I said, it's real grainy. It's real hard to discern anything. But you see that Sebastian, I forget. Do you have an enlace with Angel? I think you do.
Yes, I do. I got him out of a tough spot recently.
Okay. All right. So you're familiar with each other, and you see someone walk up to, pull out a weapon of some sort and kill this guy. And they walk away, and then you see there's a figure, and he says, we need to know who that Pendeo is, but also we need to find this person. And you see that he kind of zooms in, or the camera moves, and we see that maybe like behind a tree nearby there was a person. And he says, we're not able to make out who this is. Anybody know who this guy is? What about you, Sebastian? And indeed you do. You know who it is. You want to have it be Saul? Saul was a witness. Let's hold off and let's have it be a civilian of some sort. You do recognize who this is, Sebastian. Who is it that was a witness to this killing?
It's one of my former schoolmates over in Durango, which is why I immediately recognize them. It's Armando, and Armando is operating a butchery, basically relatively close to where the killing happened, and I can also tell because he was still wearing his work clothes, so he was wearing a white overcoat with some red blood stains on it. So other people like me will probably, if they're good cops, very quickly make the deduction that that person is probably a butcher, and there are only so many butchers in Durango.
Right.
Now,
because you got the 10 plus on your move,
yeah.
you've got the lead on this. So I'm going to say none of these other guys are, despite those details, none of them are picking up on that. But because of your background, you do. So. And so the lieutenant says, yeah, Sebastian, you've got a long history. You've lived here most of your life. You know who that is? And the other guy, let's see, who is it suspicious of you? It's Zamora. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Zamora says, yeah. Tell me, Isabel, you know who that is?
I have a vague idea who they might be. As you can tell, they're wearing something like butcher's clothes, and there are only so many butchers in Durango. So I don't recognize the face right away, but I think we can narrow it down to about 5 or 6 places right away. So I'd be happy to split my task force across the different butchers in the town, and we'll just get some photo prints of this one, and then see it from there, and should be easily done by the end of the day.
Okay. That sounds like I don't know. I'm not sure if you're triggering. I'm going to say this though. We're going to, the camera shows everybody, especially Zamora, with their eyes watching you, seeing if you're telling the full truth. Let's see how well you're able to sort of like keep your cool, even though you know who the killer is, you know the witness. Roll with push your luck.
Okay. So push your luck is with grit. Okay. And my grit is, I think, 1. Yes, basically everything is 1. So it's the very same as before. That is an 8.
Okay.
Oh wait, no, it's actually a 10. For some reason, I put in the wrong modifier. The modifier was a minus instead of a plus. That's weird.
Oh, okay.
So I rolled a 3 and a 6, and then it should be... No, sorry. I looked at the wrong number. That was Ignacio. My number is a 5.
Yeah, I think your number's a 5. Good try, but it's a 5. The Zamora says, yeah, good idea. Good idea, Isabel. I haven't ridden with you in a while, and your partner's out sick today. So, let's go check out which butcher you want to go to. Which one do you think we should start with? And Lieutenant, we can disperse the rest of the guys, but I want to ride with Isabel today.
Yeah, that's a very good idea. And I think my mouth gets a little dry, and I'm racing in my head.
Yeah, take a stress.
Delgado, I'll give myself a stress. Delgado, if you take my car, and me and Zamora, we're gonna take a cab, and we're gonna go to, and I name sort of one butcher away from the one that I know. So basically, I have hopefully one butcherly time away from there, and I'm gonna try and make that Saul's cap that I'm taking. At least I will try.
Okay. I think Zamora, let's a mini cut. We see, there's a wipe, and you guys, now you're in the hallway walking with Zamora.
Yeah.
And he's like, take a cab. What the hell are you talking about? We've got lots of cars down in the garage.
I don't know if you know, but basically in my experiences, all our cars are bugged at this point. So I've made it a principle here in Durango to always take cabs if I can, because they can't trace cabs. They don't know which cab we're taking. And so that's why.
Okay. It's stretching it, but I think it's worth a roll. Let's see if Zamora buys it. Let's roll. I think that's pressure someone.
decay, so pleasuring. That's with hustle. That's also one, also +1. So, please, a 7.
7. Okay. Let's see. On a 7 to 9, you let something slip. So what do you let slip? He's gonna buy into it. He shakes his head and he doesn't look. He looks a little suspicious. But what do you say or do that might give him a clue as to what you're about? Maybe you say like, let's call Saul's taxi. Maybe you specify, that not only do you're going to call for a taxi, but you're looking for a particular driver, right?
Yeah.
Does that work?
Exactly.
Or you have something different?
Yeah, exactly. No, and I already have a good driver in mind that I know from way back when here.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's flip over. So like we flip back into like the briefing room. We see that at the end of that video, the killer, raises their pistol or whatever and shoots the camera. So the camera goes blank at the end of that short video showing this killing. Let's go switch from there to Angel. Angel, you're pulling up into a parking lot in probably a barrio, sort of a slum area, and you have a body wrapped in a sheet. Tell me a little bit more about the killing. Why did you kill this person, and how did you kill them?
Well, I was. It was like a kind of a get back job for the cartel, for the plaza, and it was the victim was another cocinero who was cutting, taking extra drugs for themselves, not Ignacio, but another one that was doing maybe cooking meth, and the cartel, the people, I wasn't talking to the jefe, but they wanted me to punish him for doing this. So
Okay.
I did. Yeah, I came up to him in front of the church when he was going to the church, and I just shot him.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
With a silencer, so that I don't make a sound.
Right. And why have you decided to bring him to Saul?
I wanted to get because I don't have many friends now again in the organization, and Saul is like a guy who is willing to do things. So I just wanted to not use my own car to get rid of the body. So I said, better call Saul, and I called him to help me with the body and
Right.
to bury it somewhere in the desert outside of town.
Okay. So you're in the city still, and Saul, you drive up, and do you have Angel contacted you, said, meet me at blankety blank, that abandoned parking lot, and here you are. Do you pull up in your car or your taxi, you think?
I think I'm still in the car.
Okay.
In my BMW, really shitty.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you have your pandilla with you, or are you on your own?
I think I'm on. Did Angel tell me anything? I think I'll be on my own.
Okay. Yeah, Angel, what do you think you did? I mean, when we have a little bit of a flashback, you pick up your cell phone, and by the way, there's no smartphones, but there are cell phones.
Okay, yeah. So I probably would have told him to come alone, because this is a quick and dirty job. It doesn't require a lot of. I think it requires not to have a lot of attention. So the less people there are there to know what's happening, the better.
Yeah, and I think, Saul, you hear on your radio as you pull up, you hear this morning there a single gunman gunned down someone right outside the cathedral. police report this is over the top, this is too much, and then they're reporting that they're going to use every resource to come down hard on the assailant. You hear this on the radio. Let's see you guys, interacting. You drive up. There's you have a pickup truck, right? You have probably a fairly nice pickup truck on Hell, and the beat
I have
up
an
old
old, I have an old Toyota 4x4. It's not bad. It's working. It does the job. But I want to lay low for a while, so maybe I leave the car somewhere hidden a few blocks away, so that when Saul comes, we take the body and put it in his trunk.
Okay, let's let's pick up that moment. You guys meeting at the you pull down the back of the truck, the whatever they call that, the little door in the back, and Saul, you see this body wrapped, this bloody sheet wrapped around this body. Do you have any thoughts or questions? What's your conversation like, you think?
I think Saul is like somewhere between totally excited and totally afraid. It's a mix of he's like, oh my, Senor Angel, it's you are all over the radio today, and then like, oh man, it smells.
Well, no talking now. Just put it in the truck, close the trunk, and we drive away, and then we talk. Okay?
Yes, Senor Angel. Of course. Yeah, I'm just like grabbing the legs and.
Yeah, we're doing this together. And
yeah, go ahead and take a stress, Saul. Okay, and then let's pick up. You guys so you've moved the body into the trunk of the Mercedes, I take it?
Yes, to BMW, yes.
Yes. Yeah, we take the body and I say, Saul, just drive outside of town to the desert. No questions asked. No questions right now.
But
okay.
As you can tell me, I'm familiar. Like, who was this pendejo?
I think that sounds like get the truth. So, Pavel, why don't you go ahead and roll that?
Sure. Get the truth with hustle.
Pretty good at hustle, right? All right.
Yes, it's a 9.
All right. So when you get a hit, you clear a stress. This is a major way you can clear some stress also, is to try to push people to give you the truth. This is a fun move. You clear stress, but also then you pick from the list. You can restrict what Angel tells, whether he can lie or not to you, basically. That's what these choices do, is they kind of like restrict what the person you're talking to can say to you. So you can mislead them. They can't mislead you with the truth, which means he can't tell you a bunch of stuff that's unrelated, or they can't confuse you with falsehoods. In other words, he can't lie to you, or they can't stonewall you with silence.
So it's really into talkative mode. So I don't want Angel to stonewall me with silence.
Okay. So you can lie to him. You can tell him a bunch of stuff that has nothing to do with it if you want. It's up to you. Go ahead. What did you say again? It was something like, tell me what happened or who this is, something like that. Is that what you were saying?
Yes. Senor Angel, who was this pendejo?
Saul, didn't you say I was on the radio? So maybe you know something more that I know? Why do you ask questions that you know the answers for?
But people have double, triple, quadruple lives. Like, what was hit for the cartel? The radio said about his day job. He was a shoemaker, but why was he for the cartel important?
Well, I don't know about that, but he was part of the cartel, and he was. He was trying to cheat the cartel. That's why we have to do the things we have to do. You are a taxi driver, right? But you also work for the cartel, right?
Yes, Senor Angel. Hard times. It's better to work for the cartel now than just drive the cab.
Yes, we all have to do what we have to do.
Angel, I think you're justifying your behavior, I think you should
Definitely.
make a
Yeah.
go ahead and make a roll.
So I roll with face, right? And my
Yes.
face is just a sec. Oh, my face is -1.
Mm. Okay.
I got a 3.
Yeah. So he's saying these words, but it doesn't sound like his heart's in it. Like he doesn't even believe it himself, right? So, Saul, I think you can take advantage of this. I'm going to allow you to immediately get a 10 plus on get the truth, pressuring someone, proposing a deal, whatever you choose. You've got an eye on hell. You know where he's coming from. You got an angle if you want to take advantage of it.
Mm,
You get a 10 plus. You don't even need to roll.
yeah, I guess I'm going to lean towards playing pressure someone, but Senor Angel, I have a dozen sent Senor Angel to kill just someone who crossed the cartel. They send you to send a message. I mean, to do it in front of the church, that was sending a message. I think it's important that people understand what this message is. What did this man do to cross the cartel so that the message is understood?
Okay, Gwei, I will tell you the truth, but I don't know the whole truth, as you already know.
Mhm.
It's probably is a message. I'm not the Senor Angel that I was before, but I have to do the things to get back to the into the grind, So I'm doing these jobs just to have a good word with improve my reputation with the cartel. But this guy, he cheated the cartel, and maybe there are others who cheat the cartel, so they have to see this message. It's something we
So
shouldn't do.
let me jump in.
Yeah.
Saul, so you were pressuring someone. So you can get him to see things a certain way, or you can get him to do something. Is there anything you're trying to get him to see or believe or getting him to do that you want to take advantage of here? A suggestion is like, this is a lot of heat. This is, this body, that it was, killed in public. This person was killed in public, that the police are making a clear effort to try to really get on top of this. So carrying this body around, for example, is going to be a risky operation, right? So you might take advantage of that, or anything else you want. Is there anything you want him to see or do that you want to take advantage of here?
Yeah. I guess I look at Angel and I say, well, this is going to be a big news. The radio already said that all the police is on it. How about we drive to, and I give the district where where the other cartel members are hanging out. I'm not sure if Los Zetas maybe where's the warehouse of the Gulf cartel, and I say maybe we dump the body over there so that everyone will look the other way and not on us. What do you
Sure.
think about this, Senor Angel, to dump the body over there?
Okay, so on Hell, you can follow his lead or refuse to and mark a stress.
Okay, I think I'll follow it.
Okay.
Because I think I see myself as in a vulnerable place right now because I'm coming back after a long time, and maybe people want me dead or
Sure.
something. So I just want to I say to Saul, I think this is a good chance for us to prove ourselves to the Jefe.
Right.
Right. Even if we were not given the instructions to do so, I was to just bury the body into the desert. But yeah, we should go there. You're right. Let's go.
Let's cut there. So we'll see you, dumping the body. We slamming the trunk on the Mercedes. And Angel, you were going to go park your truck, in a dark alley somewhere, right, to get it off the street. We'll see you driving off, and Saul, your cell phone rings, and it's I don't even know if you had caller ID or whatever, but you whether you answer or what, you realize it's Isabel calling. Okay, so Sebastian, let's pick up where you're maybe you ducked into the bathroom or something to get away from Zamora for a minute, and you're calling Saul. Well, how's that go?
Saul here.
Yeah, hi. Isabel here. I would need your taxi services to the police station right now, and afterward I would need your ride to one of the 5 butchers, because I'm sort of listening in for a moment if there's anybody here else in the bathroom or not.
Yes, and Saul is looking at Angel that he just convinced to go to the other dangerous district. I'm sorry, Senorita. I'm no longer working as the taxi driver. I cannot help you today. I'm very sorry. You have to call the corporation, and I'm sorry. I'm no longer doing this job.
Do you want
Well,
to pressure him or something? Yeah, go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead, Sebastian.
Then I will make sure after work hours to tell your taxi company my opinion at your headquarters, which I know is a particular place where the cab is supposed to be. So this is basically me trying to implicitly say, I'm going to meet you at this point after working hours.
So you're saying it's a bit of a threat? Is that what I'm picking up?
It's yes, it's a threat, as in this is urgent. I need to meet you there.
Okay, so it sounds like what I'm.
And your boss is going to be very angry if I'm not going to get to have a word with somebody there and somebody making amends.
Right. That definitely sounds like pressure someone. So let's go ahead and lay that pressure on Saul.
Okay, so that's again.
That's with hustle.
Yeah, that's the same, +1.
All right, well that's a 4.
4.
So I think Zamora budges into the bathroom and he says, let's go.
Yeah, I didn't manage to get a cab, I say very loudly, and then just hang up. And let's just take your car and not talk in the car.
All right. Like you said, they're all bugged though. That doesn't worry you at all though. You're not, nervous or anything driving in a bugged car, right?
Well, as I said, let's just not talk in the car.
Okay. So let's go from there. Matthew, I'm not sure where to get you into this. You have any ideas of getting caught up in this whole developing situation?
Nothing. Can't think of a really good reason to be deeply involved in this. However, if you want to bring me closer in terms of proximity, I think what Ignacio will do is take the extra cocaine and basically pass it off to Saul. Because as far as Ignacio is concerned, if he makes extra, he wants that extra stuff as far away from himself as possible when checkups like that, like the one that just happened, and entrust Saul to take care of distributing it, getting rid of it, and as discreet a way as possible that profits and benefits us both.
Okay, so yeah, that sounds good. Let's pick up with Saul and Angel starting to drive in towards where Saul knows Now, Saul, do you know the Gulf Cartel where their safe house is because you've been dealing with them? I think we kind of touched on that a little bit in our character creation. Have you been having dealings with this Gulf Cartel?
Yes, that's where Paco was getting his stuff from.
His connections. And does the local plaza boss, your jefe, do they know about this Gulf Cartel safe house, or is this sort of under the radar?
No, it's this one is under the radar. That's why I'm also not going to drive exactly to it, but just in the general area around it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think it's like, as you said, it's allowed to live in the city and make business. So they are like allowed to be here. It just
Right.
there's like a warehouse where they actually, I don't know, maybe produce or do other stuff, which is like not allowed. So I'm not going to like drive under their footsteps, but
Sure.
in their rural area.
Okay. So you're driving in the car and you get another phone call. This time it's Ignacio. Let's hear how that one goes. Ignacio and Saul. And Angel, you're sitting in the passenger seat right beside him. So you hear all this too. So you can jump in also if you have ideas.
Then,
I
so
tell,
here,
yeah, no, I tell Ignacio tells Saul, like, says, listen, I went to the. Sorry, I don't know what happened to my throat there. I went to the supermarket today, uh, and there was an extra special on oranges today. And basically, it's code that Ignacio does, whereas whenever he gets extra from his cooking, he takes the bag of cooking and he puts it at the bottom of a paper bag of groceries and just like covers it up with citrus, and pretending like oh there was extra, there was like a baker's dozen, whatever, like any excuse to cover up, but it's always in a paper bag of groceries.
Okay.
And so he's agreeing, it's like, look, you just maybe you can have some because I don't want any of this stuff to go to waste.
And do you put the paper bag like outside your truck, or do you some public space, or?
I think he tries to leave it at the taxi company, or taxi, because that's your official place of work. Am I right?
I don't officially work there. Taxi company is like run by our El Narco, so probably not there because because that's the place where he launders money.
Right.
Okay,
So
all
you
right.
need to have another drop point.
Okay,
I mean, you
so
could just hand it off. He could just drive to your truck and you just walk out and give him this bag of oranges,
Yeah,
right?
usually just meet in person because we are neighbors, yes. Or
Yeah.
maybe you put
Yeah.
it. Oh, you put it in your. Gosh, I don't think we are living in like separate houses, but maybe you leave it somewhere on your balcony, and I pick it up. Like I'm taking from the neighbor.
Yeah. Oh wait, sorry. So if there's no balcony, then maybe you. Sorry, I don't want to get too much into detail, like, so we can keep the narrative going. Either we just like, because we're sharing in a single townhouse, like it's pretty much easy. Just leave it at the doorstep. The other way of going about it is, I think, I ride with you going home or going whatever, so it's not uncommon for me to just like,
Yeah.
for us to meet up, and I just casually get into your back seat and I've got the groceries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's great. Shopping are good. Yeah, that's good to know, Mom, that your shoppings went great. Listen. I can't come and help you with the oranges. How about I sent Azul to meet you and help you with carrying the shoppings back home.
And that's
Sure.
probably a roll there, but we're at 12, so I want to get one more roll on the table to kind of set us up for next time. I think in many ways you guys are involved in avoiding suspicion. When you try to avoid suspicion while handling business in public, we're going to roll with heat. So I think Saul and Angel are both in this car involved in this doing business in public. So what we do when there's several people involved is whichever one of you has higher heat is going to make a 2d6 plus heat roll. So that's probably Angel, isn't it?
Mhm. And that's
roll.
roll lower, right?
And you want to roll low on this, yeah.
So
So
2d6
higher heat is bad, yeah.
plus 1. Okay. And I rolled.
All right, well that's good. You
Oh,
roll
roll a
snake eyes.
3. Yeah, snake
Okay,
eyes.
so on a 10 plus, someone dangerous. Oh no, wait, we want to miss. You don't attract attention. Most civilians know better than to get in your way. All right, so you're all set. We'll pick up next time with everything in motion here. It's very pleased with this little hour of developing storyline. It's looking good. I'll go back in the week to come and I'll listen to this and I'll, draw little relationship maps and get my fingers more involved in understanding all of our enlaces and everything. But I think we've touched on quite a few good things so far. Does anybody feel that they've hit one of their laves? I wasn't following it closely, but does anybody feel like they've hit something that gives them an experience? Mercy, duty, not yet.
We are kind of driving to drop the body in a district controlled by another cartel. So I'm not sure if it qualifies as bold.
I'm
not sure.
I'll tell you what. If we define, if we define this cartel, this Gulf, this cell of the Gulf cartel, as sort of being secretly running some jobs outside the awareness of the Sinaloa, I think that would definitely make this very dangerous and bold. So I'll give that to you if you want. If that's the way we want to go with that.
Of course.
Okay, take an experience then. I think, Ignacio, you were lying to the lieutenant, to Enadina, about your drugs, right?
Yeah.
When you lie to someone close to you about your illicit activities, clear this advance. I think as long as we say that you're close to Enadina, maybe it's not a friendly relationship, but maybe it's a close relationship. Maybe she's
those 3 people he selected.
What's that?
The close ones are. I think the close ones are the people he selected, the family, and so on.
Those are the mysterious.
Okay, well, we'll let that one slide for now. Then that's okay. Otherwise, I don't see anything else. Let me know. Go ahead and mark it if you feel like you hit something. But otherwise, thanks, guys. I do stars and wishes, but I do it every other session. So just goodbye, and I'll see you guys next Sunday. If you have any question or anything, just catch up on Slack.
Great. Have a nice week.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Yeah.